Xiang Weishan got angry and asked in response, "Are they willing to put their lives on the line to try the game of guess for themselves? He is not ready to die so stupidly." Fan Pai thought about it and said that it was true. If the previous trials and errors had at least some positive result, then there would be those who would jump at this chance. And then no one would step on the same rake. Han joined the conversation and said that people are selfish, and he asked why someone should suffer beatings while others should eat candy. Zhao Yi said that they were rubbing some game on him, and he offered his companions to go in and find out everything themselves. Xiang Weishan replied that he did not dare to delay them any longer and pointed to the path that led to the entrance of the station. When the company left, one of Xiang Wei's henchmen, Shanya, asked him if he had lied to them. After all, the boy himself remembered that the clown has a fixed method of hitting. It's not scissors and paper. Xiang Weishan laughed back and replied, "So what?" He added that Zhao Yi is not an easy player and is the #1 rookie. Didn't he notice how before this, that lecherous girl, Liu Zhouqing, was looking at this newbie before the guild task, and asked the henchman if he thinks that the main bosses in the guild will allow them to climb to the top of the chart while people like them are alive. The guy said, "It's true." He emphasized that his brother Xiang Weishan is very smart and gave him a lighter to light a cigarette. And the boy thought to himself that this Xiao Weishan, some kind of cloudy guy, that he is 100% some kind of maniac or pervert. This meant that Zhao Yi was already deceased. That one strong competitor is less, which means that he will not be able to take away awards and women from them. Zhao Yi's team entered the train station. It was empty and creepy. There were blood splatters on some store signs. Bai Shui turned to Zhao Yi and said that she thought the guy at the entrance had lied to them. Zhao Yi replied that he knew. Uncle Lei Han said that, as expected from the #1, he devoured them immediately. And the woman, exhaling with relief, added that since he immediately understood everything, then she could not worry. Ahead, Zhao Yi saw an open shop and noted that it was the same grocery store. Severed fingers lay in a pool of blood in front of it. A clown was standing behind the counter who, seeing them, began to loudly lure them to his shop. He shouted that he was happy to welcome them to his shop called Ghost. The clown asked if they had come to buy food or if they wanted to play with him. Coming closer, Zhao Yi asked the clown what was so useful about his games. The clown replied to the dear guest that if they played rock, paper, scissors with him and won 3 out of 10 games, they would get unlimited access to all the products in his store forever. Zhao Yi smiled and asked what would happen if they lost. The clown also gave a predatory smile back and said that if they lost, he would have to pay him a tiny fee. He added that they know that a game without bets is like cold coffee, disgusting and tasteless. Zhao Wei replied that the clown had persuaded them and they were ready to take part in his game. Then the clown said that he would now introduce them to the rules of the game. A few minutes later, Lei Han whispered to Fang Pai that the rules were exactly the same as Jiang Wei had described. Shan. He wondered if he had told them the truth. Fan Pai whispered that he didn't think it was that simple. You need to be vigilant. The clone continued to explain the rules of the game. He said that he also wanted to emphasize one important point, that you should not break the rules during the game by trying to kill him or cut off his fingers. Otherwise, and the clown pointed them to the door behind him, which was shrouded in darkness and gave off an ominous aura. Suddenly, the door opened for a moment and hundreds of eyes began to stare at the team from the darkness. Everyone was struck as if by lightning. Bai Shui actually cried out in fear and covered her mouth. And the girl Tian Tian didn't even blink, she just patted her teddy bear on the head. When the door closed, the clown continued that the participants of the game received 3 points for winning. Other team members, 1 point each. The clown said if they were sure their team was fully formed and ready to play, he invited them to come over and sit at the round table. He warned that the game would start in a few minutes. Zhao Yi walked forward without hesitation, followed by Tian Tian. Others stood in shock. They realized that it was not a joke. Uncle Lei Han said that it turns out that this is not a joke, that this task is mandatory for their guild. If they die, they can no longer be reborn. Fang Pai pulled himself together and said that if Zhao Yi wins, then they get a talent point just like that. After all, not every point gained is appreciated in the early stages. That any piece of energy gives a strong boost to the team, which will be noticeable even to the naked eye. Bai Shui gathered her spirits and said that in order to survive, you need to work. If a woman like her wants to get a foothold in this world somehow, she has to earn a lot of money. Stepping forward behind Zhao Yi, she added that besides, they had each given 1,000 points for attempting this task, and that the boys also didn't want to lose those points just like that. The guys absolutely agreed with her. Fan Pai also said that this is a real fight, that you need to be masters at least this time. They all entered the room where there was a large round table. The clown invited them to the table. Taking the remote control in his hands, the clown said that he would turn on the TV so that it would not be so disgusting to the soul. A video appeared on the screen in which a naked man crawled on the floor and cried out in pain. Some dark tentacles wrapped around his arms, legs and neck. He screamed frantically and his pupils were empty. Fan Pai, Lei Han and Bai Shui were horrified by such a sight. Their mental strength immediately began to decline. Zhao Yi remained calm and his mental strength was stable. The mental strength of the Tian girl Tian also remained at her level, but she herself smiled and giggled quietly. Zhao Yi thought to himself that Tian Tian wasn't even a little bit frightened by this. Then the clown stretched forward a piece of cloth and asked, "Who will be first?" Zhao Yi raised his hand and challenged himself to be the first. The clown smiled and said that he liked the boy for his straightforwardness. Then he announced the start of the game. All the team members moved their chairs slightly away from the table so that only the clown and Zhao Yi were left sitting at the table. An inexplicable fog appeared in the room, the light was turned off, and a spotlight began to shine on the boy. Clown said that during the next 3 minutes, they have the right to talk to each other to decide exactly what tactics the team will follow. Having made the final decision, the participant must put his hand into the black bag in front of him. The clown said that this bag would then be scanned by a special machine fixed to the ceiling of the room. He assured that there is no sensor in the bag that could transmit to him the gesture chosen by the participant, that he will not even try to deceive them. Zhao Yi said that he believed the clown. Then the boy turned to Fan Pai and asked what he should choose. Fang Pai was so surprised that he asked Zhao Yi if he was really asking him. The guy confirmed. Fan Pai tensed. He thought to himself, is Zhao Yi asking someone for advice because that is not his style? Does his actions have any intention? For example, he wants to confuse the audience or the clown. After a couple of seconds, Fan Pai replied that he had already said that if he lost, he was not to be blamed. Zhao Yi agreed that he would not. Fan Pai thought again and said that it should be scissors. Zhao Yi put his hand into the bag and told the clown that he was ready. The clown also put his hand into the bag. Then machines descended from the ceiling above the bags and scanned them. The system announced that the opponents have made their choice and now they can find out the results of the first game. The countdown has begun. On the score of 1, the machines removed the bags from the hands of the game participants. The clown had a rock and Zhao Yi had scissors. Zhao Yi's team was demoralized. Fan Pai thought that this was the end because the boy showed the scissors. The clown apologized to Zhao Yi and said that it seems luck is not on the boy's side today. And he put a small device on the table. After all, the loser had to be left without a finger. Zhao Yi replied with a calm expression that he agreed with this decision and put one of his fingers under the device. A moment and the boy was left without a finger. Bandaging his wound, Zhao Yi said that it was not for nothing that he had prepared so many bandages before the game. Fang Pai, Lei Han, and Bai Shui, who were standing behind the boy, began to tremble in terror. Zhao Yi then turned to Fang Pai again. Returning to him, the boy asked what he should throw away the second time. Fan Pai felt uneasy. He waved his hands and replied that he did not know, let Zhao Yi decide for himself. The guy turned back to the table and with a smile on his face said that it was okay. Zhao Yi announced to the clown that he was choosing a stone. The clown stared at Zhao Yi intently. He thought that this boy was not at all like the previous members of his game, that this guy made him feel the awkwardness of the situation for the first time. This clown made it even more interesting. What was Zhao Yi up to? In the second round, the clown threw away the paper and Zhao Yi had the rock. The boy lost one finger again. The trio sitting behind Zhao Yi was amazed at how calmly and easily he parted with his fingers. Lei Han began to bite his nails and said that if the boy continued in the same spirit, he would lose. So, what should they do in this case? Bai Shui told Uncle that it was only 2 rounds. One should not lose heart. Zhao Yi was smiling. He overheard the couple's conversation and thought to himself not to worry, since he hadn't planned on winning the first 2 rounds from the start. The guy looked at the clown and a system message appeared. It stated that the clown is a neutral type. Note that if he loses the game, he will die. The boy's death was guaranteed only if the clown won. Weaknesses are not revealed. Goal wants to revive the family business. The clown's famous ability is that he can see right through everyone when his eyes are open. Zhao Yi smiled slyly. He thought that the clown could always predict the opponent's next move without even making assumptions. Instead, the clown just relies on his swindling abilities and the guy needs to use something unusual against him. You need to corner him. This is already the 3rd round. According to information from Xiangwei Shanya, this time the clown should get the scissors, but it's hard to believe his words. If it turns out that if Shan told the truth, then the probability of winning will increase significantly. And if he brazenly lied, at this, Zhao Yi leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms to address the clown. The guy said that when they were going to the clown, he was told that at the end of the 3rd round, the clown would definitely throw away the scissors. Zhao Yi asked if he would really do that. The clown calmly replied that at first he could not tell them about this aspect of the game, but now he could enlighten them. The clown explained that in the 3rd and 6th rounds, he always shows the same gestures, but which ones he cannot tell them. Zhao Yi nodded his head and replied that this was enough for him. The 3rd round began, and the participants put their hands into the bags again. The trio behind Zhao Yi were very excited and tense. Fan Pai mentally wished the boy luck, that this time Zhao Yi had an excellent chance to win against the clown. Uncle Lei Han continued to tremble and bite his nails. Mechanisms came down from the ceiling again. After scanning the bags, they grabbed the edge of the bags with their long claws and sharply lifted them up. The clown had paper and Zhao Yi had scissors. The trio breathed a sigh of relief and the girl Tian Tian shouted happily that Zhao Yi's brother had finally won. Fan Pai calmed down and thought that it was good that Zhao Yi was their leader. Bai Shui smiled and thought that her behavior was correct. The clown congratulating Mr. Zhao Yi on his victory as he held out a finger-cutting parade. After cutting off his finger, he said that it seems they were misinformed. Zhao Yi smiled happily and said that he would definitely take revenge on him for lying, and then corrected himself and said that he would pay back. Fan Pai and Bai Shui realized that this was not just a trick. The clown asked the boy why he was so sure he would get out of here alive. Zhao Wei replied, "Why not?" The clown shook his head and said that the boy was a really impressive person. Zhao Yi continued to stare at the clown and asked if he was very fond of gambling, but he was madly fond of unexpected twists in such games. The clown froze for a few seconds after these words of the boy. He then threw away the bloody napkin and asked Zhao Yi what he was talking about. Zhao Yi's expression turned serious as he looked at the clown. The boy replied that he needed to be patient, that everything would become clear soon. Then the opponents continued the game. Zhao Shi lost in the 4th round. Zhao Yi lost in the 5th round. In the 6th round, the clown lost. In the 7th round, Zhao Yi lost. In the 8th round, Zhao Yi lost. Zhao Yi lost in the 9th round. Tian Tian said excitedly that the 10th round was finally starting. Clown said he thought Mr. Zhao had a problem choosing which fingers to cut off. That with the fingers he now has left, he can only point to a rock or scissors. Bai Shui was confused by the clown's words and asked Fan Pai what he meant. Fan Pai explained that if Zhao Yi had at least a ring finger on his right hand, he could easily throw away the paper. But now, when he spreads his fingers to the sides, they become scissors. And when he squeezes them, a stone and nothing else. In other words, the guy can no longer show the paper. Lei Han was horrified. He said that according to the rules, if the clown guesses the same gesture 3 times in a row, he wins, which means that the next 3 perfectly timed sequences of strikes from the Joker will be fatal to the opponent. Zhao Yi turned to the clown and asked if he remembered what the boy had said about adding an unexpected twist. The clown replied that he remembered, and added that he feels sorry for Mr. Zhao, but he thinks this is his final stop. That the guy held on for quite a long time, but rules are rules. However, if Mr. Zhao Yi has an interesting proposal that does not violate the rules of the game and will cheer them all up, then after the game is over, he will let him choose the method of death himself. Zhao Yi offered to make bets. The clone asked what other stakes there were. The guy said simply that he was betting on his close victory. Kei Luan was puzzled. When he regained consciousness, he said that Mr. Zhao did not seem to understand the situation he was in. As it stands, the guy can't beat him. Zhao Wei replied that this was not the case, that this bet was conditional. The boy said he wanted the clown to close his eyes. If he wins, then the clown will do him a favor. That is, he will do whatever Zhao Yi says for him. Well, if it turns out that the boy loses, then in addition to the fact that the clown will take over his life, he will still have this item. Zhao Yi opened his inventory and took out Pandora's box. The characteristics of this item appeared where a note said that the ghosts inside had already been released and reopening would have no effect. The item description says it's a gift that many ghosts still enjoy, and if you give it to a human fairy, it will greatly increase her affection for him. The clown was very interested. He looked intently at the box, then said that he accepted Mr. Zhao's bet. Zhao Yi said that the clown could only open his eyes after removing the bag from his hand and asked if there were any more questions. The clown said no. The clown thought to himself that even if he stopped seeing, it wouldn't change anything. That Zhao Yi just lost and is afraid to admit it. Bai Shui asked Fang Pai why brother Zhao Yi decided to bet. And in general, does he have a chance to win? Fi Fai replied that he did not know that. He added that they only had to believe that Zhao Yi's bid would lead them to victory in the finals. At this time, Zhao Yi suggested that the clown make the first move this time. Put your hand on the black bag and close your eyes. The clown first stared at Zhao Yi's severed fingers before agreeing with him. When the clown's hand was in the bag, Zhao Yi also put his hand in the bag. The trio behind him held their breath in anticipation. Zhao Yi said he was ready and asked the mechs to remove the bags from their hands. When the machines lifted the bags, the clown lowered his eyes to Zhao Yi's hand and saw that there was no finger on it, so the boy threw away the paper. Everyone present, including the clown, was surprised and amazed. They did not understand why, because Zhao Yi had 1 finger left on one hand and 2 on the other. The clown was also puzzled. Zhao Yi smiled and said in a calm tone that it seems he won after all. Bai Shui asked if Zhao Yi cut off his finger? Fan Pai said that since there were no fingers, it turned out that the brother put out paper. Someone announced that he had defeated Zhao Yi in the 10th round. The clown was not feeling well. He sat at the table in silence, and then he took the device for cutting off fingers and deprived himself of another one. Bai Shui jumped up shouting that they had won. Fei Pai thanked God that they would not die, and Lei Han finally breathed a sigh of relief. Klong turned to Zhao Yi and asked when he came up with this plan against him. Zhao Yi replied that, after his 3rd cut-off finger. The boy explained that they all knew it was a game of luck. And since it is also gambling, there definitely cannot be 2 winners in it. The boy pointed out that the clown could really beat him. It was obvious that he had his own methods of fraud. And so, it was in the 5th, 7th, and 8th rounds. Zhao Yi said that he deliberately changed his gestures inside the bag. But at the same time, he still lost, which was not surprising. Then the boy finally realized that he must deprive him of the opportunity to see. At that time, the boy began to understand that if he wants to win, then he needs to rebuild the game for himself. That is, to take away from the clown the ability to see through surfaces, and that he pushed the clown to make an obvious wrong choice. The clown clapped his hands and said that he understood. When it was his turn to cut off the 7th finger, the boy deliberately chose the big one on his right hand. The fact is that in the last round, you could only throw scissors or a stone, regardless of which hand you use. Then the boy offered him a bet. He closed his eyes, and thus could not use his prediction. The boy forced him to throw the rock in order to win the game. As a result, Zhao Yi cut off his finger in advance and turned the stone on his left hand into paper. After listening to all the assumptions, the guy winked at the clown and said, "Bingo!" The clown clapped his hands with delight. He said that Mr. Zhao exceeded all his expectations and added that it was one of the funnest games of rock, paper, scissors he could remember. The clown got up from the table, saying that he would keep his promise. He donned a top hat and announced in a festive voice that from now on, his grocery store would provide the boy and his guild with an unlimited supply of all goods for free and forever. Also, when the guy leaves the shop, the clown will give Mr. Zhao 3 talent points, according to the game rules, and 1 talent point for everyone else. And that it is from him personally. Fan Pai fired up with curiosity for a personal gift? Did this mean that these talent points were not part of the main quest? Bai Shui said that this time she will make a lot of money. When the time comes, you can add talent points to your strength stats to improve your physical skills. Tian girl. Tian patted her teddy bear on the head and asked Nina to smile. The clown, taking off his hat, continued that he owed Mr. Zhao a favour of a personal nature. The clown bowed to the boy and said that if he could help him with anything, he should just say. Zhao Yi was not confused and replied that he had one question. The guy asked who lives in the butcher shop on the next floor. The clown replied that there lived a madman who was very strange even compared to him. Zhao Yi wondered what exactly that butcher was doing there. The clown replied that he was looking for his daughter. System messages began to appear in the game, welcoming Zhao Yi, Fang Pai, Loi Han, Tian Tian, and Bai Shui with the successful opening of a new location for the guild, a grocery store. With the information that 10 acres around the new location will be considered a safe zone. It is necessary not to leave the radius of the safe zone in order not to get hurt. Some guild players wondered who managed to open a grocery store. Others were amazed at the coolness of the newcomer. What was expected from the rookie number 1 in the rating? Meanwhile, on the Xiangwei train platform, Shan was furious. He said that Zhao Ye was not dead. He did not understand how the boy was able to win. Did he manage to unravel his plan? Xiang Weishan called one of his henchmen to him. He whispered something to the boy with the nose ring. He replied that he understood everything and that his brother should not worry. The boy returned to the company of other boys who were sitting smoking and said that he wanted to tell them something. Satisfied, Zhao Yi's company finally left the grocery store. Little Tian Tian noted to herself that Zhao Yi's hands were still bleeding. Fan Pai asked the boy, why don't they go back to the guild headquarters? After all, the wounds on his hand looked terrible. Bai Shui supported Fang Pai. She said that if it was an injury sustained during the main quest or an injury in the dungeon, as long as there were no injuries that impaired his physical and mental abilities, they could be healed within the guild walls. Zhao Yi saw something on the mountain and invited everyone to come to him. The boy, with delight in his eyes, told them not to rush back. That they still need to look at the butcher shop. The guy approached the elevator. Tian Tian ran after him again. Fan Pai said that Zhao Yi's little brother was able to defeat the crazy clown, so he can even trust him with his life. Uncle Lei Han wasn't too sure, but replied that he was too. As Zhao Yi was about to press the elevator call button, someone hit the wall next to the panel with their hand and ordered them to stop. They were the guys from the platform, Xiang Wei's henchman Shania. One of them said that Zhao Yi had passed the game, which meant that he had received his reward. The boy asked if Zhao Yi thought he should give way to someone else. Then Fan Pai's voice rang out. He was angry and said that besides the fact that these boys were afraid to go there themselves, they also did not want to let them in. Bandyuk said that more people die in the game Butcher's Bench than in the Crazy Clown task, and that he just worries about them. Baishe shouted that the thug was trying to hang noodles over their ears. Most likely, they want to stop them so that they do not become stronger than him and his friends. Bandyuk got angry because of the woman's words. He reached into his pocket and, taking out a knife, said that there was no point in talking to them, that he would simply not let them pass, and that they would not do anything about it. When the thugs suddenly saw one whole middle finger being shown to them, Zhao Yi smiled and said that now one finger is enough for him to kill them. Bandyuk became even more enraged and rushed at Zhao Yi with a knife, but he was stopped by one of his henchmen. The guy from the top looked at the gangster and asked if he was really that insecure. Zhao Yi said that at the moment he had 21 levels of strength, that this thug was no match for him, and the boy hit the thug with 2 fingers on his ribs with all his might. He was bent over with pain. Next, Zhao Yi stuck the 2 only surviving fingers into the Bur's noses and raised them up Bandugana in the air. The girl Tian Tian stood nearby and rejoiced at such a sight. Zhao Yi then turned around and threw the beggar against the wall with all his might. He flew several meters and, cutting himself against the wall, was barely able to rise to his knees. To Zhao Yi looked at his fingers, which were covered with the blood of the gangster. He wiped the blood off Fan Pai's shirt in disgust. Fan Pai was no less disgusted. He shouted at Zhao Yi, how could he wipe something so disgusting on him? After all, he had a napkin with him. Zhao Yi smiled and showed his 2 clean fingers and replied that there was no need, that he had already wiped off all the dirt. Courtesy of Xiangwei Shanya began to talk among themselves. They did not know what to do and whether they should try to detain the company. Bai Shui called out to them saying that they should get out as soon as possible. She said they were all members of the same guild. Even though the gangs are trying to threaten them now, are they going to do this for the rest of their lives? One of the young men noticed that the woman was saying the right thing and suggested that they leave. But the other guy got angry and said that he was an idiot. If they leave now, it will not lead to anything good. Then the boy shouted in the direction of Bai Shui so that she would not be delusional. If she doesn't want to die, then she should go with them. Otherwise, she will break her legs and go to the mincemeat. Fan Pai was also angry. He rolled up his sleeves and, saying that they had no other choice, went with his fists to the bandits. Uncle Leihan grabbed him and asked him to calm down. Suddenly, someone asked what was wrong with them all. Turning their heads, everyone saw that Jiang Wei had arrived Shan along with the whole gang. Fan Pai was worried. He thought that if Shan and his team unite against them, then they are surely doomed. Bai Shui thought that she already knew that this guy would not stay away. Then Xiang Wei Shan asked, how are they not ashamed? And pointing his finger at the boys who had come to block the path of Zhao Yi's team, he said that in addition to not going to the task themselves, they also stand in the way of others. The boys bowed their heads and begged Brother Xiang. They said they were just about to leave. Zhao Yi's team was perplexed. Bai Shui asked Zhao Yi, what happened to Xiang Wei? Did Shan just help them, or did she imagine it? Xiang Weishan moved closer to the boys' team and turned to Zhao Yi and said that Brother Zhao could no longer be afraid of them. And then, placing his hand on the boy's shoulder, Xiang Weishan said that he would take him to the butcher himself, and no one would dare to stop them. Zhao Yi thanked Brother Xiang with a smile. Watching this scene, Bai Shui thought that she was sure that this performance was arranged by Xiang Wei himself. I appreciate it. That first he sets someone up for a fight, then intervenes to resolve the conflict, and then, under the guise of friendship, joins their team. Here is his strategy. Bai Shui quietly walked up to Zhao Yi's back and tugged on his jacket. She wanted to whisper something in his ear, but Zhao Wei extended his hand to Xiang Wei Shanya and offered him to join their team, saying that, let them help each other. Xiang Weishan was surprised by the boy's answer. He shook his hand in return and thought to himself that Zhao Yi was very easy to trick. Bai Shui let go of Zhao Yi's jacket and looked at Fang Pai. Xiang Wei believed that Brother Zhao seemed to be in her eyes, Shan Yu. So what should they do now? Fan Pai thought that if that was the case, he should be on the alert with such a sneaky and cunning fellow. The door to the butcher shop opened. Entering the middle, Zhao Yi and Xiang Wei's company Shanya saw human body parts hanging on hooks and human heads in the window. Besides Zhao Yi and Tian Tian, everyone felt uneasy from such a scary sight. Ahead at the counter, Zhao Yi saw a butcher who was just bringing a huge kitchen cleaver over someone's corpse. The boys with Tian Tian came closer and greeted the butcher. The guy said that they came to him to play a game. The butcher cut the corpse's leg, put down the cleaver, and after wiping his hands, turned to the boy and said that he had 3 kinds of games. The first type, it is necessary to help him deliver food. Customer orders have limits. Whoever turns out to be faster will win. He will also receive a bowl of exclusive sauce from his collection.